Hello, my beautiful friends. I want to introduce you to someone very special. Penelope, she's the newest member of the Monson Schoolhouse, and she is 1 week old. She was born on March 18th, and I've been in newborn heaven ever since. And I wanted to come on here and share her birth story with you all. There you are, see? Look. There she is. There's a squishy face. There's a squishy face. Yes, there's a squishy face. And she smells so good. Oh, I love it. So cute. Look. Just so precious. So precious. We're gonna have to take some kissing breaks throughout the story. Now, if you guys haven't been to my channel before, I am a mom of 5 now. I previously had 4 kids, all above the ages of 11, mainly teenagers. My daughter is going on to 18 years old. That's my oldest. So it had been almost 12 years since I had a baby. And it took, God placed it on my heart that there was more children for our family. And it was quite a journey to get to conceive little Penelope. And I have that story. I can link it below, my conception story and trying to conceive story. If you want to listen to that, it's full of miracles in God's hand. And it's beautiful. And I can't believe that she's here. So I'm going to be diving into my birth story. So going from, I knew I was going to do a home birth, and my friend from grade school, we've known each other since 3rd grade. I was talking to her about my home birth, and she said, you really should do a water birth. It's so amazing. And I had thought water birth was kind of weird because I just didn't know anything about it. But the way she described it, I was like, sure, why not? Like, let's go with water birth. Let's just do it all. So from that point on, I was like, okay, I'm going to do water birth. Just to give you a recap, my 4 other kids were all born in the hospital. They were all born with an epidural. They were all vaginal births, even my twins, and one of my twins was breech. So I've done all vaginal births, but I've never done like a 100% natural birth. And so basically my coping method from my previous births was I'll go in the hospital and get the epidural. Like that was the tool that I had. But I knew I wasn't going to be having that this time. So I needed to prepare. So I got the Bradley Method book because I thought, I'd heard about it from some moms on YouTube and they said it was great. So as I was reading the Bradley Method book, I was like, there was just a big hole. I'm like, I need something more. Like there's a big hole and I don't know what that is. So I continued to search for like a method that would work for me. I came across hypnobabies. I just felt like this was it. This is what the Lord wanted me to do. And with hypnobabies, you actually have a full schedule and you listen to these hypnosis tracks. So I felt like, okay, I have like a partner in this birth. Like she's going to be in my ear the whole time and she's going to help coax me through it. And I'm going to have like a partner. Now, speaking of a real partner, my daughter, who is 17, so she wanted to be my birth partner, and with hypnobabies, they have like a birth partner book. So I gave her the birth partner book and she read along with me, and we kind of did the hypnobabies program together, which was really, really amazing. So I would listen to a track on the schedule every single night, and I would practice my light switch method every single day. And I did that for about 2 months leading up to the birth. And I felt like, okay, I'm prepared. Like, I think I got this. I have my notes on my birth story because I swear I forget everything. So Friday night before she was born on a Monday. So on Friday night at like right before I went to bed, I was like so done with being pregnant, with being uncomfortable. and right over here, and I told my husband, I am not sleeping in bed anymore. Like, it's so uncomfortable. I'm gonna sleep downstairs on the couch from now on until I have the baby. So I go downstairs on the couch, sit down. Mackenzie, my daughter, comes down and she's just so sweet. She's like, Mom, can I give you a foot massage? So it's about 11 o'clock at night. She's massaging my feet, and all of a sudden there's like this like massive leak. And I'm like, I didn't just pee my pants. I swear I didn't just pee my pants. Like, it doesn't feel like that. So I go to the bathroom, I sit on the toilet, and then there's some blood. And I'm like, things are happening. And I got really excited. So I went out of the bathroom and I was like, I think things are happening. I think I just had a little water fluid leak and I got some blood. So maybe that's my mucus plug. Maybe things are happening. And at this point I was 39 weeks and like 3 days. So I'm like, you know, I ran upstairs and I put on my diapers. From that point on to the birth, I was wearing my diapers, and they're like feminine underpanty pads things. They were super comfortable. So I put on my diapers in case I'm leaking anything more. I start feeling period cramping. And at that point, I told my husband, I was like, okay, this is what happened. I swear I leaked some fluid, and there's a little blood, and I'm getting period cramping. And so I was like, I think this is it. It's happening. And he was like really excited. And at that point I was a little fear set in, and I started to see the reality. Like, I'm going into labor. Okay, I'm going to use the hypnobabies terms because if any of you guys are hypnobabies birthers, then they change the language so that you're not like fearful of you know, birthing and all that. So labor is actually, we call it birthing time. So I knew my birthing time had arrived, and but I started to get like fear kind of like washed over me, and I was like, I'm doing this all natural. I've never done this all natural. I'm doing it at home. I don't know how this is going to go down. I hope it's going to be okay. I don't know if I'm prepared. I've been preparing for 2 months. Like, I just started to get a little bit scared. And so at that point I asked for a blessing from my husband, a priesthood blessing. And so he gave me a blessing of comfort, and it was really beautiful. And after the blessing, I told him just to go to bed because nothing's really happening. And then I went downstairs on the couch. Like, right away, waves started, and waves is the name for contractions or surges. So my waves started, and they were different than the Braxton Hicks. I've been having Braxton Hicks since like 20 weeks, and these were different. They were more intense. They were definitely waves, birthing waves. So what I did was I went and grabbed my light, and this little light, I use it now at night nursing. It's like the best. But during my birthing time in hypnobabies, you have an orange, like red color you're supposed to think about in your, you know, as anesthesia. So you think of this color going through. Okay, so I hope you can see it because I have another light. I have the ring light over here, so I don't know if you can see this. But it's like a red orangey light. And I used this to imagine my my hypnoanesthesia in my body. So you kind of picture it going through, you know, around your tummy area and your back, and it's supposed to help take all the pain away, and you're only supposed to feel pressure. So I literally like put this in front of me, and I'm like, I got my light. And then I started to listen to the track called, I think it's called Fear Clearing. Get the this is my hypnobabies track schedule. Fear Clearing. So I started listening to Fear Clearing because I wanted to clear out all the fear I had. So I listened to that. And then after Fear Clearing, I listened to Easy First Stage. Okay. And the track Easy First Stage was my lifesaver. Things are getting, you know, the waves are starting to amp up, and I start tracking them on the tracker. app. And, you know, they're going from like 8 minutes apart, and then they go to 5 minutes, and then they'll kind of go back to 10. And I'm like, okay, I need to get this rolling. Like, I need to have a baby by tomorrow. So I'm going to get this rolling. I'm going to do all these different positions. I'm going to just keep moving. And that's what I did. I was so determined to get this baby out by the next day, by Saturday. And so I was just moving all over the place. Well, the waves continued and continued and continued and kept going and kept getting increasing in strength, literally all through the night, all through the morning, all through the afternoon. By 2:30, they're intense, but they're really irregular. They're like 20 minutes apart, 10 minutes apart, 14, 8. It's just like way irregular. And no matter what I do, I'm trying to go on all fours, trying to stand up, trying to rock back and forth, you know, doing hip circles, I tried everything. It wouldn't make them more regular. And I was starting to get really frustrated. And I had been like in my birthing time for about 15 hours by this point, and I was exhausted. I was so exhausted, and I was losing control. I had kind of abandoned hypnobabies because I was so tired. My mind wasn't there anymore, and the waves were actually painful because I wasn't in my zone, and I had abandoned all my tools. And at that point, I called my midwife because I wanted to know how dilated I was, because for me, I like to know how dilated I am to get like an idea of where I am along the road. I've had 4 babies. Well, now I've had 5, but my 4 previous births, it just was good markers for me, and I liked it. So she came over, she checked me 1 centimeter, you guys. 1 centimeter. After 15 hours of me moving around, 1 centimeter. Why the heck am I not progressing? And she was like, well, it has been, 12 years since you've last had a baby. And so your body's kind of going back to like, this is your first baby. And it can just, this prodromal labor is what I was in. This can just happen. So, super disappointed because it was hard work. My daughter, who I told you was helping me, her brain was dead. I mean, she has a traumatic brain injury and she couldn't do anymore. And I couldn't do anymore. So my midwife said, I need you to rest. Take a bath, take a shower, but I need you to rest. I made a decision, and I looked at my daughter and I was like, she needs a break and I need a break. And so I just kind of told the Lord, I need a break. Like, I'm taking a break. And I went and took a nap. And they did. They slowed way down. And then I went and took a shower. And after the shower, they virtually like stopped. And that was Saturday night. I had to just refocus on my purpose. And so I recentered on my purpose and why I was doing this and that I could. And I went to bed, and in bed, I listened to the Deepening Your Hypnosis track. And that was so nice. It totally put me in a deep sleep, and it helped me get through the night and just helped me relax and kind of recenter. So come the Sabbath day, this is the second day. It was the Sabbath day, and literally God gave me rest. I mean, I was still having waves 1 or 2 an hour, and these waves, I couldn't like talk through them. So they were pretty intense, but they were doable. And at this point, I was like, okay, from now on, I'm going 100% with my hypnobabies tools. I'm not abandoning them anymore because that did not work. So I recentered myself, and I got my earphones, my tracks, I got my little, red light going, and I really focused on relaxing. And my cue, my light switch cue, because when you turn off the light switch, you're like in the state, you're like in it. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to use what I practiced for 2 months, and I'm going to do this. And so the Sabbath day was a day to rest, but every wave I had, even if it was 1 hour, I used the tools that I had been working on, and I used it as a practice. And so come Sunday night, after a restful day, but I'm still having my waves, I'm sitting on the bed, and I get a wave, and I'm having to like do my light switch and breathe through it. My husband's like watching my stomach, like he can like see it like tense up and what the wave does. And he's like, whoa, that looks so powerful. Like the baby was like, my stomach gets all weird and stuff. And then all of a sudden after the wave, I was like, I just gushed a lot of liquid in my diaper. And he's like, what, your water broke? I'm like, I don't know if it broke, but it definitely leaked a lot. Went to the bathroom, and yeah, there was a lot more amniotic leakage. So I'm like, okay. He's like, oh, it's gonna start happening. I'm like, well, it doesn't necessarily mean that. It could take a while. It could take a day or two. So, I'm like, just cool it. And how about we plan for you to go back to work tomorrow? Because nothing's really happening, and I'm getting like 1-2 waves an hour, and it's just not. I think you should just go back to work, and then I'll let you know if stuff picks up. He's like, okay, so that was our plan. Come Monday, he would be going back to work, and I would be still on baby watch. Well, that night, like basically around midnight, things started picking up. I was getting very intense waves every 5 minutes from about midnight, 1 in the morning on. And they grew more and more and more in intensity. And at this point, I was propped up on my bed. I had this like, it's not there now, but I had this pad. It's amazing. It supports your back. So I was sitting up on my back, and I had the heating pad on my lower back because I could feel the pressure like wrap around me to my back. So I needed some heat, and the heat totally helped. So I put heat on my back, earphones in, listening to Easy First Stage, which that track is like a dream. I love that track. I would go in and out of sleep, but when a wave would come, it would wake me up because it was that intense. And every time I got woken up by a wave, like every 5 minutes, she would be saying like the perfect thing. I don't know how that happened, but I would hear the perfect thing. She would be talking me through what I needed to do and relaxing me, and just relax, and you're feeling pressure, and just all those positive things she was saying. It just helped me get through it. And that was a dream. I also got an app to count the waves and the timing of them. And on this app, I should show you guys what it is. When you start your wave, it actually starts playing ocean sounds, like sounds of waves crashing on the ocean. It was amazing. So when I would go through a wave, I'd push it, I'd start it to see how long it was, and I'd hear the ocean. And that's what I was imagining anyway. And so I'd ride the wave up, and I would breathe in for 4. And then I'm kind of a moaner. I wouldn't call it like loud moaning. It's more like, like right where I can feel it right here. So then I'd ride it up for 4 and go, about 6, and then ride it up for 4. And I was doing this all night. My husband was still sleeping. I don't know why he didn't wake up with the moaning waves, but whatever. And that would get me through each wave, and then it would end, and I would go right back to my Easy First Stage hypnobabies. And with each wave, I'd do my light switch. So a wave would start, I just feel it coming. I'd do my light switch, I'd push my counter, and then the ocean wave sound would start, and I'd go, I did it all night, every 5 minutes. By 6 a.m., so I hadn't like slept a whole lot. Hold on, I have to go potty. Okay, I had to take a potty break. Here, little girl. She's so cute. Oh. So by 6 a.m., I had been having waves the entire night, and they were super intense at this point. My husband was getting like his alarm went off for work, and I said, honey, I need you to stay home. Things have been happening the whole night. And he's like, okay. And at that point, when he saw me have waves, he is like, it's getting intense. Like, he could tell that things were getting intense with the moaning and all that. Yeah, things were getting super intense. They were. Do you want your binkies? I know. You were ready to come out and shine. So at this point, this was going into the third day of my birthing time. Visualizing the ocean and counting my waves. And at this point, they were getting below 5 minutes apart, very consistent, and they were very, very, very intense, where I think we kind of have this thing against pain where I don't know if we're afraid of pain or, the world has made birth so scary and all this stuff. But before going into this, I didn't want to feel scared of the intensity. And if I had felt a little pain, I just kept thinking of my Savior. And I kept thinking about him and how a woman in labor and giving birth to new life, is a type and shadow of Christ himself, atoning for our sins and giving spiritual birth to us. And so in a small way, I could be linked with my Savior in these intense pressure waves and this intense, 3 days that I was experiencing, that I could be linked with him and his suffering and be learning of him and be sanctified and be cleansed through him, and to be able to, in a very small way, be like him and give life to someone, to his child. And I just thought it a privilege. Instead of fearing all of it, it is a privilege that us women get to go through. And I just think how incredible. That's why one of the reasons why I wanted to do a natural birth is to experience it in its full measure. That alone was something that helped keep me going and helped keep perspective and helped me see the beauty in it, the beauty in the pressure, the beauty in the intensity. But at this point, I can honestly tell you, it wasn't pain I was feeling. It was intense pressure. Like, I had no idea my body could feel that much pressure around my tummy and my back. There was one wave where it was so much pressure that there was tingling. I literally felt tingling through my tummy area and all down my toes. And I thought, in a moment, I was like, is that my hypnoanesthesia working? Because it kind of tickles. It's kind of a weird sensation. It wasn't painful at all, but I was just like, that's funny. Like, that everything's tingly, and it was just like all numb, like everything's going numb. Screenshotted my app to show my midwife the pattern of my waves. So after I texted that to her, she was like, okay, I'm rearranging some stuff and I'm gonna come over. So at this point, when she came over, it was Monday. That's the day she was born. So this is like my third day of my birthing time. She comes over and she checks me at 10 a.m. because I want to be checked. Like, that's something I requested. And she's like, good girl, you're out of 5. And I was like, I'm out of 5. Like, everything is progressing. I didn't want to, at this point, I really wanted to be in the zone, and I had to be in like this hypnosis, like concentrative pattern, and I had to keep my rhythm up. my rhythm of my wave sound going, and then my rhythm of my early birthing time track. And I just kept switching back and forth, and then concentrating on relaxing and breathing and going through it all. And I just kind of had this like rhythm going. It was really amazing. I'm like, I need to keep in my rhythm. So when she saw that I was a 5, I'm like, set up the tub. She starts setting up the tub in our bathroom. I just want to mention my husband, and he was absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'm just so grateful. I can honestly say I have the best husband in the world. He would just bring me food. He would make sure he'd get me protein. I'd never eaten so much in a labor, because when you're in the hospital, they don't let you eat. He made sure I had food and water like every 15 minutes. He's like, okay, you need to eat some of this, and here's some protein, and here's some yogurt. And he just kept bringing food and helping me through all the waves, although my eyes were closed half the time. But he was like right by my side. And as my midwife was setting up the tub, I have teenagers. So I have twin boys, they're 15, going on 16. And I have an 11-year-old going on 12. And my teen boys really, they didn't want to be home when I was birthing. I can totally understand why. You know, they just kind of wanted to give me my space and privacy. And so at that point, my husband knew it was go time, because she was setting up the tub and I was at 5. He's like, it's go time. So my parents came and picked up the teen boys and took them, which was super nice. So it was just me, my husband, and my daughter. And my daughter was just absolutely incredible. Just right by my side, helping me and cheering me on and asking what I needed, putting cold rags on my head, and just the sweetest thing. So at 10, she starts setting it up. Okay, so this is where it gets real. We're getting real now. Sorry for the long 3-day labor. 3-day birthing time. Yeah, I really didn't think that was gonna happen. You know, in hypnobabies, they have this track you listen to where it's like visualize your birth. I visualized my birth under 6 hours, and I visualized it happening like in the evening, and I did all this visualization. In the end, I guess God wanted to teach me again. That's my lesson over and over again from the Lord. It's I'm in control. That's him speaking to me. I'm in control, you're not. And this is what you need. And you know, nothing's going to be easy. That's my message over and over again. Nothing's going to be easy. And there's just parallels. I mean, it took 2.5 to 3 years to get her here. It took 2.5 to 3 days to deliver her. So there's a lot of the Lord is teaching me, you know, it's his time. It's not our time, it's his. And we can visualize all we want, but God's in charge. So at this point, I was going on to 3 days. But from here on out, it starts getting fast. So I get in the tub at 11:15, I get into the tub, and it feels amazing. Oh my goodness. The warmth of the water, it's just so relaxing. I'm totally sweaty at that point. So I can wash off and I can relax a little bit and have a little bit of a change. But I was the transfer kind of put me out of my zone. So my husband put his AirPods in my ear, his expensive AirPods that he like literally guards and he never lets anyone use. He gives to me in that moment. That was so sweet. So I have his AirPods and I'm like, I need my wave sound. And so I'm kind of like, I need my wave sound. Things were my rhythm kind of got a little bit off, but I was still able to like, you know, do my moaning wave thing in the bath for I did that for a good hour. So around 12:15, after I've been in the tub for an hour doing my wave thing, I could feel things got really, really intense. And I look back and now I know I was in transition, but in hypnobabies we call it transformation. And it upped the ante of like, I mean, I was already right here with intense pressure. It wasn't any pain, but it was pressure. It went like through the roof. I lost my zone. I lost my moan. My daughter heard me say, like, I don't know if I can do this. She was studying as all up to the birth. She had been studying things and watching birth videos. And she's like, that's a really good sign, because when you're in transformation, that's usually when everyone gives up and says they don't want to do it. So she was like getting excited. She's like, baby's coming. Midwife checks me, I'm at an 8. And at that point, I'm like, okay, all my other births, they've broken my water at 8 and I've literally birthed. So I said, if there's any water sac left, break it. She goes in there, she breaks it, she walks out the door. And I swear, this was like 1 second later, I'm like looking into my bedroom from the bathroom and I'm like, I'm pushing. Like, I'm pushing. And then I start bearing down. And I love my midwife. She brought this like sense of just peace, calm, no big deal. Like, I feel like at the hospital, at least with my experiences, everything was so like, oh, hurry, this, that, you know, medical intervention. And it was just kind of this stressful feel. But with her, it was just so comfortable. And, you know, when I was like screaming, I'm bearing down and pushing right now, she's just like, gets her gloves on, you know, puts them on and just calm, walks over to the tub. It's just awesome. Like, I'm like, this is like no big deal to her, because it isn't. It's a normal, natural thing. Feeling like, I guess they call it the ring of fire, but I guess I'm feeling that. And I didn't know I said this, but I've kind of lost my mind. I've been laboring for 3 days. I'm exhausted. And I just went through transformation, which was so intense, but amazing. Amazing, you guys. And doable. I did it. I went over the mountain. I went over the wave. And pushing is usually my favorite stage, because you're no longer feeling those like intense waves. You're like doing something, you know, you're like pushing and you have something to do and you can actively participate. And so pushing is usually my favorite. But at this point, it felt so intense that I said, I don't think the baby's going to be able to fit through. I don't think she's going to come out. I guess I said that to my daughter. And my daughter's like, she's coming out. She's coming out. So my daughter the whole time has told my midwife that she wanted to help deliver. So I'm in the bath. I get on my knees and I'm facing my husband and I'm holding both of his hands. And at that point, I'm just bearing down. And it took 3 pushes. And she had shoulder dystocia, I think it's called. So her shoulder was a little bit caught in there. And so I could have had her out in 2. I did the 2 pushes and my midwife's like, look, we have to get her out in the 3rd. Guess her head was out. I was under the water. She needed to get the baby out. So I was so motivated. And man, this is why I love the pushing stage, because it's like, I'm doing this. And so I bear down and she does. She comes out. She hands her to Mackenzie. Mackenzie gets to hand her to me. And she's a little bit blue. She's just been through a lot. A whole 3 days of crazy. Poor little girl. Poor little girl. And I was like, oh my gosh, I did it. But she was finally in my arms. And then there came the placenta. The Lord doesn't make anything easy for me. No. The placenta didn't come out very easy. We had some issues, and it just wanted to stay in there. But eventually we got it out with some maneuvering, position changing, lots of different stuff. Finally the placenta came. That was so easy, so super easy when it finally came out. And I was finally not pregnant. Okay, let's get you out of the bath. And I walked over to my bed and it was all ready for me. I got in and had baby handed to me and nursed her, and I've been in heaven ever since. I haven't put her down really at all. I just kiss her and love her all day and all night, and she's amazing at night. It's just been such a miracle, and I can't thank the Lord enough. It was like that night, and I knelt by my bed and I just thanked Heavenly Father. This is an absolute miracle. It's an absolute miracle that she's here. I can't get over it. I can't get over it because I remember, like I said, 2.5 to 3 years ago, I cried on my bed and told him it was impossible and a baby could never come through me. And here I am holding her in my arms, the very little girl that I saw in a dream. And we're just all in like heaven. And before the birth, we decorated it to be like heaven. We put these lights around my bed. The bathroom where I'd be birthing with fairy lights, my daughter did it. And it was just magical. And it's been a magical week. I forgot to say, she was a big baby. They weighed her and she's 9 pounds. I have never had a 9-pound baby. I thought she was gonna be 7.5, and the midwives are like, she's a chunk. I'm like, no way. They weigh her, she's 9 pounds. I'm like, okay, that's why I felt that ring of fire, and I was like, she's not coming out. But incredibly, the water birth, you guys, oh my goodness, I'm such an advocate. I did not tear at all. I've had the best recovery of any of my births. And when they got it all cleaned up, the midwives, left, and then we called my teen boys, and all my boys came back, and they just crowded around us on the bed, and they have literally all been in heaven too. We all love her so much. And my boys, my teen boys, they are so cute. They're like, I'm gonna have like 12 kids. They keep saying that. There was a comment on my last video. One of you said, when you go home birth, you never go back. And it's like, isn't that the same way about homeschool? Now I'm like a home everything. Home birth, home school. I'm just gonna turn into home everything. I've just felt angels in our home the whole last week that she's been born. It's felt like our home is this heaven on earth. And I'm still floating on clouds. She's just beautiful and perfect. And, it was Jesus that carried me through that 3-day labor. That's my testimony. Anyway, I love you all, and I'll try to come on here and share more. But for now, I am in like newborn heaven, and I just want to soak it up. It's just, it's so precious. Something about not having a baby for 12 years that makes you just, oh, look at that. I think she's ready to eat. Kiss break. We'll see you guys soon. I love you. Bye, my loved ones. Bye, my beautiful friends. Goodbye.